Take a video, huh? Because I'm gonna take a picture.
Just beyond the entrance of the cave is what we call the twilight zone. It separates what we call the dark zone. Now, Jeffrey's up there doing the practice driving this morning. He's a newer guy that just came on and helped us this summer, so he's up ahead of us by about 6 minutes. Well, as you see that water dripping in, it's coming from the surface. It comes from rain. Picks up some carbon from the decaying plant materials, carbonic acid we call it. That bubbly substance dissolves limestone. Now, limestone's made of calcium, and calcium comes from the bones and the teeth and shells of the ancient sea life in what's now the Ozarks was once a shallow ocean. With pressure from underneath, it pushed up that mountain range of very old seabeds, and instead of folding it like it would at Rockies or Appalachians, it's the entire region, part of southern Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and a little part of Kansas. All came up, drained the ancient ocean, down to the cracks that washed out a mile of this upper chamber. And below us, about 50 feet, is another chamber that's now filling in the springtime, just about 18 inches tall, but just a few feet wide and over 3.5 miles. About 4.5 miles are what we call fantastic caverns, with a drainage basis across 12 square miles. That water can come in large openings and into the soil and into the cavern system. Well, the cave has been used for a lot of different purposes. We've had lights in here since 1887 using that steam powered generator, but we grew mushrooms down here in the dark in the 1930s during the U.S. Great Depression. And so by using the humidity of the cave, they were able to create 8 raised garden beds, spreading a little horse manure down here across the open area of the dark zone there. And that's an area where they were able to supply the Farmers Exchange and a few restaurants in town. So as those water droplets come in, they dissolve the ceiling, the rock, and they start to form it as a hollow little tube. A little ring forms. Either the water evaporates or it'll drip down. And then as that little soda straw hanging from the ceiling gets 6 to 8 inches long, it starts filling in the hole, and then it starts forming these larger speeded verbs. We'll talk about some of those up ahead. So here between the dark zone and the twilight zone, it's called that because if an animal came into the cave, like a fox or a raccoon, maybe a possum, they wouldn't go into the dark zone. Nothing for them up there. But that's important to our story later on. Listen, I'm Richard. I have to make myself your host today and guest in our cave. And if you have any questions along the way or taking special reports for school, you let me know, okay? All right, here we go. Get some lights on.